A massive report just dropped from Adrian Wojnarowski that reveals the Toronto Raptors could make a big trade with the Indiana Pacers. As apparently the Pacers are trying to push all their chips onto the table, make a blockbuster move to build around Tyrese Halliburton, who they don't view as the future, they view as right now, and they are actively targeting two of Toronto Raptors' top stars. So we'll break down this report from Adrian Wojnarowski, what it means for the Toronto Raptors, and what the Raptors could actually get in return from a blockbuster trade with the Indiana Pacers. So lots of stuff to dive into, but folks, I've been creeping our analytics. We've hit 30,000 subscribers. As you guys know, that meant the world to me, but we're still pushing. We're still trying to grow this Raptors Digest channel, and over half of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you're a part of the majority that haven't hit that subscribe button just yet, would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that sub button. But let's dive into the news because we have a wild report. A little, I don't know if I want to call it a Woj bomb, but we're going to play the graphic regardless because Woj came out and dropped some juicy details regarding a potential trade. It's basically Tyrese Halliburton is letting other stars around the league know that he wants to team up with them on the Indiana Pacers. And Woj mentioned the Pacers have aggressively pursued players like Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby over the past year. And Indiana is ready to push all their chips all in around Tyrese Halliburton. So pushing the chips all in, actively pursuing two of the Toronto Raptors' top guys. I mean, this is sort of brewing a blockbuster trade in terms of reports, at least from the side of Indiana. Now, we know Masai Ujiri, he's not afraid to poke his nose, not afraid to throw the Toronto Raptors out there in a bunch of these trade rumors, but given the fact and all the reports that we've been hearing over the past week, the next 20 games are really going to determine what Masai Ujiri has to do, because frankly, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam are both unrestricted free agents this summer, and if he still starts kicking the can down the street past this year's trade deadline, the Raptors could potentially lose two of their top guys for nothing. Obviously, Scotty Barnes is one of the top guys as well, but OG and Pascal are a bit older, so I don't want to get dive too deep into the pecking order. But basically, Pascal Siakam this season, 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. The numbers have been steadily going up. The 3-point percentage has been brutal, but again, it's still a guy that at his best is still an all-NBA caliber player. And OG Anunoby is an all-NBA caliber defender, a couple years younger, fits probably more so that Tyrese Halliburton timeline. 15 points per game, 4 rebounds, shooting 41% from behind the three-point line. The free throws are randomly down, but, we all know the value of OG Anunoby, and we've talked to death about how the Toronto Raptors need to make a decision, need to figure out what they're going to do with OG and Pascal. Personally, I think it's more likely they keep OG Anunoby because for the reasons I mentioned, with Tyrese Halliburton matching OG's timeline a little bit more, OG matches Scotty Barnes' timeline a little bit more, and he's a floor spacer, all that type of stuff. So I think Masai Ujiri is going to be more hesitant to deal away OG Anunoby, but OG played for the Indiana Pacers. We discussed in the video that I dropped today about how OG is seeking a bigger role, and right now he is getting significantly less shots than a Dennis Schroeder. So maybe he's going to be less inclined to come back re-up with the Toronto Raptors, try to seek out a place where he has more of an opportunity to be a top ball handler, all this type of stuff. So maybe he could find that in Indiana where he went to college and all that type of stuff. But basically, I personally am not sure OG Anunoby could Masai Ujiri is going to trade him. I think Masai Ujiri is going to let OG walk before he ends up trading him personally. So I'm reserved, holding my breath for a potential OG trade. But Pascal Siakam, we've seen him shopped over the course of the summer. He's been in trade rumors consistently over the years, and he doesn't really fit the Scotty Barnes timeline that well. We saw Fred VanVleet ended up walking, so Pascal Siakam is the guy I could see that's more likely to end up getting dealt by the Raptors front office. And what could that mean? Because obviously the big name the Raptors would like to get in return for a Pascal Siakam trade is Benedict Mathurin. Again, a Canadian, and averaging 13 points per game this season, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Numbers a little bit down from last year, but definitely more efficient, at least from the three-point stripe and from the field. He's a guy that's showing he can be a definite elite scorer in the NBA, only 21 years old, 6'6" on the wing, plays small forward, shooting guard, spaces the floor, just gets you buckets in a hurry. And personally, Benedict Mathurin, I think on the Raptors would complement Scotty Barnes really nicely. He can facilitate, he can create, and this is exactly what the Toronto Raptors need, sort of a guy, sure, that's on the wing and stuff. We have a lot of players that play on that sort of position area, but someone that can create their own shot, can get their own buckets, and all that type of stuff. He's Canadian. He's a piece that has played really well against the Toronto Raptors. However, I am given the trade value we've seen for Pascal Siakam, in those Atlanta Hawks rumored deals, and the fact that a report came out this summer that the Pacers were hesitant and wouldn't even be willing to throw in Andrew Nembhard in a Pascal Siakam trade, I am very skeptical we'd even be able to get Benedict Mathurin in a Pascal Siakam package. But value for value, Pascal is obviously a much better player here now at this point. But given the fact he's an unrestricted free agent, makes the value just less so for the Toronto Raptors. But again, the Pacers are pushing to make a deep playoff run. They're trying to capitalize on that Tyrese Halliburton sort of timeline. He's putting up ridiculous numbers. Pascal Siakam's a guy I could see Indiana being more willing to sort of, after they've looked at this Pacers roster and said, hey, we're really good, adding Pascal Siakam to the mix could really help this. Maybe we could get more. But speaking of the other prospects on the Indiana Pacers that are probably more realistic to get in either OG or Pascal Siakam trade, I mean, one of the guys, obviously, Benedict Mathurin's there, but Andrew Nembhard, mentioned him. This season, 7 points, 4 assists, a great facilitator. His three-point shot has really fallen off a cliff this year's free throws, which is very concerning. But again, a 6'5" point guard that plays solid defense, that facilitates. He shows up in big moments. Andrew Nembhard is a dude that I wouldn't want to be the centerpiece of a Pascal Siakam sort of trade package, but is a guy that I would love to see on the Toronto Raptors. He played at my U15 Nationals, Newfoundland. He was on Ontario, so it'd be cool to see that happen there. But Nembhard, we talked about the depth at the point guard position. Flynn has stepped up this season, but we're not sure about his future with the Toronto Raptors given his free agency coming up. And Schroeder, we'll see what happens there. But Nembhard is a guy that'd be nice to sort of have young guard depth to see their potential, to see if they could blossom for this Raptors team in the coming seasons. But one name that I've seen not mentioned a lot and kind of hidden this year is Jarace Walker. Struggle pronouncing those names. But this season, again, you're looking at his numbers and you're going to say, Ben, why is he an interesting piece? 3 points per game, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, only shooting 38%, 39% from the field, not hitting any threes, very small sample size, all the stuff that's going on. But Walker's a guy that was the 8th pick in this year's draft. He's athletic, and he frankly just hasn't gotten much run from the Indiana Pacers. So, they're trying to win now. He's a guy that's not polished, has a lot of potential, but would need some opportunity to have growing pains and stuff along that. I mean, he's a piece that I wouldn't mind being athletic. He fits sort of the exact Masai Ujiri archetype, very athletic, sort of 6'8" wing. So, comparable with Scotty Barnes, we'd have to see how our roster shakes up, but Walker is a guy that I could definitely see coming back and surprising a lot of Toronto Raptors fans as the seasons go along in a potential package for a Pascal or OG Anunoby. But would this be the right move? Would this be the move that we get excited about as Toronto Raptors fans? Personally, unless we're getting Benedict Mathurin, depending on what we have to give up, some draft capital from the Indiana Pacers would be nice as well. Again, they have some pieces that excite me more than what the Atlanta Hawks had to offer up. The Kings, if they're willing to give up Keegan Murray, then I definitely lean in that direction. I mean, the Pacers have some young pieces that would fit what the Toronto Raptors are going to do. And then in order to make the salaries work, we'd likely had to pick up Buddy Hield or Miles Turner as well. So we could finally land Miles Turner after all the years of speculation and things like that. Imagine if they're bringing in Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby, they'd want to keep Turner. Hield is a guy that's an unrestricted free agent come this summer, so could be money off the books for the Toronto Raptors or a nice, valuable three-point shooter that Masai Ujiri sees as a piece of the Toronto Raptors sort of, future core. But I don't know. The Pacers have some pieces. We're going to have to see what the rumors and all the speculation sort of comes out to be. But let me know what you guys think about a potential blockbuster deal with the Indiana Pacers in the comment section down below. Again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.